Recording in progress.
So yesterday we were discussing about like how do we upload a file. So did you try this? Okay, please try it today. So and let me know if you have any doubts in it. Okay. So today we'll be discussing about like what is JavaScript executor and how do we perform actions that the normal Selenium script should not work. Okay, so when we have something like we cannot able to click on it or we need to scroll to element and we need to click on that element. In that case, we will go with the JavaScript executor. Okay, so for scrolling or else clicking on the element or else identifying the element with help of XPath and so highlighting the element, so that we are going to discuss today. Okay, so JavaScript executor basically is an interface. So what are the interfaces that we have in Selenium is like JavaScript executor, take screenshot and WebDriver. So these are the interfaces and these interfaces are being extended by the class remote WebDriver. Okay, so remote WebDriver. So remote WebDriver is like implementation class of this three interfaces. So apart from this, we have a Chrome driver, then we have like Firefox driver, and then we have a Edge driver. But when it comes to the kind of like take screenshot or JavaScript executor WebDriver, so what we do is like we are going to typecast them to a driver. Okay, so if we don't typecast, then what happens is like interfaces, we cannot create object for the interfaces. To create the object for the interfaces, we have to typecast them to a driver. Okay, so that will discuss today, and we'll try to understand what is JavaScript executor and why do we need in case of Selenium. Okay, so today. So my system has become a little slow, guys. Just give me a second. Yeah. I'm trying to first talk about JavaScript executor along with the documentation. Okay? So I suggest you to go with the documentation, guys. Don't follow any other things because I mean, like if you don't get anything in the documentation, then you can go and search for somewhere else. But the thing is like first and foremost, we need to go to the documentation. So which is like base for all the, like you can see, this is like in JavaScript executor and what are the implementation classes of it. Here we see that you have a Chrome driver, Edge driver, Firefox, and the remote web driver. Okay. So internally, you can see that this is a object it's going to return. Okay, execute and execute script. Okay, execute asynchronous script and execute script. So we are going to use this method. Okay, so execute script that we are going to use. So what it does is like whatever you have written in the form of like JavaScript, so that will be executed. So this method will help you to execute that particular code. Okay, so here you can see what are the different things that we have is like method details. So for example, if you want to identify any web element in the HTML, like it is a HTML element, right? So it's like web element. And for a decimal, a double is returned. So these are the different return types that we are going to get as part of this JavaScript executor. Okay. So how do we create this thing? Now there is one thing that we can see here is like, see how do we create this JavaScript executor and how do we use it? Okay. So here the example has been given here. See, we are just typecasting it to a driver. Okay. So documentation itself, it says like, we have to typecast it because directly we cannot create object for the interfaces. Okay. So when you come down and try to see, here you can see JavaScript executor. So we have a key and we have a value for it. Okay. And like, it's kind of like we have a key and what is that argument that you want to pass of that, you can just pass it. And it's kind of like, this is, what is this? This is 3 dots. If we use 3 dots, then it's called as like a varargs. Okay. So varargs, this is kind of like varargs, guys. So in this case, if you want to pass any set of parameters, we can just pass it. Okay. So, and next one is like, you can see this is like basic method that we are going to use. So what it returns and everything is like clearly documented here. So I just suggest you to go through this documentation and just see that first and foremost thing is like, we are going to get the element out of it. Okay. We'll try to find the element. And next is like, we have like, list of objects. If you want to get the list of objects retrieved, using this JavaScript descriptor, we can have it. Okay. And this is like, it's going to return the map and object also, as we discussed in the collections, right? So if we are trying to identify some element or else, group of elements with the key value page, then we are going to use this maps. Okay. Otherwise list would help you, like list of web elements. It's nothing but object is like, we can put anything, string, web element, double, float, integer. Okay. Wrapper classes, everything can be put under this. And it's kind of like a classes also, we can have this list of classes. Okay. So here it is similar in maps also. So JavaScript executor, basically what it does, like it support 2 methods, execute script, another one is like execute asynchronous script. Okay. So yeah, I'll go back to this and I'll try to show you 2 examples in the JavaScript executor. Yes, I may take only few minutes of class today. So I have a little personal work today. So probably like tomorrow is Sunday anyways, like I'll try to take the class tomorrow. Otherwise we'll meet on Monday and we'll be getting a new link. So today a link would expire. I'll just ask them to provide a new link. Okay. Package.
Okay.
JavaScript. Okay. JavaScript. I'll take only 10 minutes of time, guys, so that we can just I want to start with this. I'll continue class like tomorrow, day after tomorrow. Okay. So here yesterday we used this base class, right? I'm going to extend the same base class here. So we are going to do this down the line, okay, for all the things that whatever we are designing. Okay, so when we discuss about TestNG, you can clearly get an idea how do we use this. So now we want to load this browser. So I'll see that what methods are there. Okay. So get browser, you can see when I say simply you need to do one thing is like when we extend this base class and like extending this class, right? Just you go here, control space. So you can see all the methods which are available as part of this base class. Okay. So first one is like, I'm going to get the driver. So what are the, see, first one is like browser. Okay. So I'm going to give Chrome. And what is the URL? We'll use this orange HRM. Okay. So this will help us to first we'll, because this has got some, this is real-time application wherein I'll try to show you in different sites also, like Amazon also. So now you see, I want to identify this with the help of like JavaScript executor. Okay. So before getting into this program, so here you see, how do we identify this is like, we need to go to the console, and here we have three things. Okay, so one is like in JavaScript, we have window, document, and another one is like arguments. Okay, so window is like if you want to perform something like scroll actions, if you want to perform scroll actions, because we perform scroll actions on the window. Document is like within the web page what you want to find out. For example, if you want to find out web elements. Okay, so and other thing is like on the web element, if you want to apply some styles and all. Okay, so setting attributes, if you want to apply the styles, all these things can be done on the arguments. Okay, so this will be passed as like a arguments. So guys, give me. Yeah, sorry guys. So in this case, like Windows, if you want to scroll down, scroll up, or if you want to scroll to a particular position, so we can use Windows.scroll. Document is like if you want to find out element, or if you want to send the values, like if you want to set the values. So these things can be used with the help of like a document. Okay, so document, it's kind of like we have these are kind of attributes we can call. Okay, so or else we can call them as like a kind of a methods that we have. Okay, Windows.scroll, document.web element, arguments.style applying the styles. Okay, so I was talking about like something JavaScript executor, WebDriver, and another one is like take screenshot. Okay, so JavaScript executor, this is important interview question, guys. So why do we need to cast into a driver is like see WebDriver, and we have a take screenshot. Okay, so take screenshot we'll discuss in the coming sessions. Okay, now you see these three are like interfaces. So internally, what is the structure of this is like see what is the structure of actual implementation is like remote WebDriver. Okay, so remote WebDriver, we can create class, we can create object based on remote WebDriver, but the thing is like if you are trying to create the object for this remote WebDriver, instead of creating object for this driver using the implementation classes, so what are the different implementation classes of WebDriver we have is like that we have Firefox driver, Chrome driver, and Edge driver. Okay, so this is like Firefox driver, and this is like Chrome driver, and this is like a Edge driver. Okay, so directly what it does internally is like see, this is like implementation classes of this, but internally these are the implementation classes of like these are also implementation classes of this particular interfaces. But the thing is like if you use remote WebDriver, so what we need to do is like we need to specify what version of driver that we are using, and everything should be specified as part of like remote WebDriver. So basically this remote WebDriver is designed to connect the drivers on the remote. Okay, so in other machines. So this is like Firefox driver, Chrome driver, and Edge drivers. These are like if they are locally available, then directly we can go and use this. Okay. So question would be asked in interviews like why do we need to create object for this driver using the like implementation classes, Firefox driver, Chrome driver, or Edge driver? Because we can create with the web driver, remote web driver also. I can show you one example here. So let me just go ahead here and try to. If I'm taking this out, web driver. So D is equals to remote web driver. See, we have to apply the capabilities. Okay. So if you don't give capabilities, then what happens is like, see, for example, if what is this? Have this. What are the different things? What we have is like, see, capabilities, we have to apply the capabilities. This capabilities would be having like, again, we have to create. See, we have to create capabilities. Okay, specifying which driver you want to point. So capabilities, cap is equals to capabilities dot Yeah, desired capabilities. Okay. The desired capabilities. So here cap dot I need to set like get browser version. You can do you see this get browser version, browser name. So all these are like kind of we have methods inside it. Okay. So set browser name, and we can give like Chrome, and I need to pass them as like a parameter here. Okay. So this is kind of like we can still go and create this one. Okay. So when we try to just execute this code, so it is trying to load the capabilities. See what it is doing now. Do you see this? Okay, there is some exception, but don't worry about it. Okay, what it is doing now? It is trying to find out, like there are some capabilities that we have to see. It is like Chrome browser, new session. It is trying to open this remote web driver. But here, what we have to do is like we have to create the desired capabilities and we have to add the capabilities. Okay, in certain cases, like if you want to add, for example, set the platform. Okay, so it's like Windows, Win 10. Form 8. Let me add some other things here. Yeah, otherwise get browser capabilities now, browser version. So we have like, getting version, like if you want to get the version of it. So all these things can be done. Get browser version. So if you are setting some version, you can set, I think capabilities dot set browser name. So browser name that we are giving it as like a Chrome, but it is not accepting it. Actually, it should accept this. So we'll be giving this browser capabilities and all. So this is like basically when why don't we directly go and use this web driver is like remote web driver, because we are currently using, or we have like drivers Firefox, or we have drivers like Edge driver, Chrome driver. All these drivers are there. Okay. So in that case, what we do is like just we are going to use it as part of our regular coding. So that is the reason why directly we can use driver dot whatever we have, like Firefox driver is equal to, like otherwise web driver is equal to new Chrome driver. So internally we can go ahead and let's see, you can directly go and create object for the web driver also. See, is it throwing any error? It's not throwing any error. Okay, when you go here, you can see what are the implementation classes of it. So this is like yeah. Let me just go one little back and I'll go to the web driver. Okay, remote web driver, I think we don't have. But here, in case of web driver, you can see this is like one class of it, and we can see the implementation classes of this one also. Otherwise, we can go and check into the documentation. Okay, so this is like I want to be clear on this. So in interviews, they're going to ask you like, why can't we create object for this remote web driver? You can say that you can create object for the remote web driver, but we have to set the capabilities of it. Okay, so API documentation, I'm going to. Yeah. Any questions? See now. So this is like remote web driver, and inside you can say remote web driver implements web driver JavaScript executor and take screenshot. Okay. So generally we are going to use this thing. So I'm just showing up this things. Now what are the known subclasses of it is like Chrome driver, Chromium driver, Firefox driver, and Safari driver. Okay. So if you want to set the capabilities, or if you want to set the platform, so everything like, whatever you want to do as part of like, if you are executing in different machines. Okay. So there you want to set this. Okay, so let me just take it. We have some properties here. but this wouldn't accept it. Actually, this should be okay. We will have documentation for this. So set capabilities, we can set the capabilities like setting the browser name. So if I set the browser name as like this one, so it should Chromium. I need to just check this one, guys, because when we use it, great. So there we can see all this remote WebDriver. Like how do we exactly set this remote WebDriver and also okay. So otherwise, directly we can, if you don't want to set all these things, directly we can give remote WebDriver, and you can need to pass this one. Capabilities is like new capabilities you can give, like new URL. So where exactly you want to open this remote WebDriver. So in this also we can give like URL. So this URL, and you have to give what is that actually that you want to pass it as like a options capabilities. Okay. So again, this is similar way that we can do and give the desired capabilities. So desired capabilities, cap is equal to new desired capabilities. Okay. So here we can specify the cap. It will throw some exception called malformed URL exception. If this is not found, then it's going to throw it. Okay. I'm just taking as like a exception here, parent exception. If some other exceptions comes here, it's going to handle it. So if I try to log in now, I should set the browser actually. If I don't set it, then it's going to get browser set. To take Chrome actually. Let's go and try to execute this code and see. If not directly, we can take another things also. That is nothing but we can take Chrome options. Okay. So we'll discuss about these things. What are these Chrome options and all? Why do we set these Chrome options? Option is equals to Chrome options. So option dot add. We can add the arguments, or we can set capabilities of it. So what is that capability is like? What is that browser version you want to set? Okay. So browser version. I'll take something 102 or something. 101. Let's take 101. And if you want to set this platform and all, on which platform you want to execute, option dot set. We have a platform name, and we can give the platform as like platform name is like Windows, right? So we want to execute this one in Windows. Windows 10. So if these things are available, then directly it will execute this. So what it is doing now. Okay, this is also kind of a capability. Now we can go and pass this as like a parameter here, options. Okay. So now we go and execute this. It should execute now because we have given the Chromium options. Firefox options we have, and Edge options also we have. So if this is available. It is showing some errors here. Could not start the session possible because invalid remote address or something. It says like not okay. HTTPS. We'll take something as a different site, then we try to open it. Okay, so we'll take this one. HTTPS and upload remote WebDriver classes or something. Oh, sorry, I directly gave this one, right? So I need to pass it as like this. Yeah. Now we'll get to see this one. Seems some problem here, could not start the session actually. So it should start the session, but it's not starting. The browser version, I think. Chrome browser version. Okay, allow origin. So there are a few things that we need to set as like a parameter. So these are the arguments actually. So we need to set options dot add arguments. Option dot add argument, and this we have to pass it here. Allowing all remote access. Maybe there could be a version which is not available. So we need to give some versions like lower versions. I'll try to open. Still, it is like compatible issues. Okay, could not start with this. So we have to give the proper version. Let me just check what is the version of it. And we'll try to give it. Okay, why I'm showing all these things is like we can still go ahead and use this particular remote WebDriver when we have to use it in certain cases, like if it is not working as expected. Okay. Still not showing up. Okay, let me look at this, guys. But the thing is, like you can see that remote WebDriver also we can create object with the help of like a remote WebDriver classes, but provided we should have this URL and we should have the capabilities. Okay, so this we'll discuss as part of our grid, because in grid we are going to configure these things. Okay, so I'll tell you how do we exactly use this remote WebDriver and do we exactly use this remote WebDriver. Okay, so in that cases we should have some capabilities set and we can create it. But in case of like, when we want to use a WebDriver directly, so what is that we can do? See, now it is like simply we are just creating this one and we are trying to access it, right? So here I'll just take this one. I'll log in. So now it's kind of like we can go ahead and execute this. So I'll just look into this remote WebDriver, guys. So I'll explain it in clear. So just I want to show you like these are the three interfaces: remote WebDriver and take screenshot and JavaScript executor. Okay. Why do we need to cast it? Is like, so if you don't cast it, we cannot create object for the interfaces. Okay. So that is the reason why we have to cast it. And if we cast it to remote WebDriver, yes, we can cast it. But what we have to do, if you want to use the remote WebDriver class, you have to provide the URL and add the capabilities. But Chrome driver and all is like, you can see that already we have this drivers which are like, taking care of what type of driver that you have to load. If you give Chrome, it will load Chrome driver. Remote WebDriver, it's not like that. We have to specify which driver we have to load. Okay. But Chrome, if you take Chrome, it will open Chrome. If you take Edge, it will open Edge. If you take Firefox, it will open Firefox. Okay. So that is the reason why what we do is like, we are going to use that one. So here, to use this JavaScript executor, what I'm going to do is like, I'll go back here and I'm going to create one class which will return me the JavaScript executor. Public static. It has to reject, give me the object. Okay. So object is like, what is that? It will return you the object. For example, if you are going to say get JS JScript. Okay. So here, what is that we have is like driver. Okay. So before that, what we need to do, we have to create JavaScript executor JS is equals to, this is nothing but a reference variable, and JavaScript executor. Okay. JavaScript executor, and we are going to typecast it to the driver. Now it will become kind of a driver. So what is that we have to return? We have to return the JavaScript executor dot execute. Now you see what are the methods that we are getting? We are getting methods from the JavaScript executor. Okay. So here we can pass the string key in the string, and it could be a web element. Okay. So web element. What is that action that you want to perform on it? So it is like you want to perform on the web element. Okay. So you can provide it as like a web element. Okay, so it will return in this form. So likewise, we can write for scrolling also. So if you want to scroll, you can scroll it. Just you need to do is like, see, for example, if you want to do some actions here, so you don't want to return any object. So you can just give void. Okay. So if you want to return the element, web element. Okay. So in this case, what we do, we are going to take the web element. Just give me a second, guys. I'm getting a call. Hello. Yeah, guys, sorry. So now you can see that what I'm trying to do is like get element using the JavaScript executor. Just I'm going to use that get element. Otherwise, you can say get element, get JS script element. Okay. So otherwise, we can say get element using JS. Okay, JavaScript executor. So here, what I'm going to do is like I'm going to just pass the key. It has to return me the element. Okay. So here, what I'm going to do is like I'll be taking it as like a web element. Again, I need to typecast it to the web element. In simple terms, also I'll show you, and how do we write in form of like the method also I'll show you. Okay. So now this is how it will return me the web element. So how do we identify this web element? Okay. So this is the next question. Okay. So anyways, like we get web driver. I want this to be returning a web driver so that I can take it as like a just see it going to return, add return statements here. So it will be returning me the drivers. But if it don't here we are using this d dot get URL. Okay. So if you directly take it, so it will be returning like null pointer exception here, because we have to get okay. Here what I'm going to do is like instead of using this get browser, I'll be writing one other method. So this get browser would be internally called. So it's going to return me the WebDriver. Otherwise, I'll do one thing. I'll just remove this one. I'll put it as like void. And here, I'm going to write a method called public static web driver get driver. Okay. So this will return me the driver. Okay. So first, what I'm going to do is like I am getting the driver here. Okay, get browser. So after that, I want to use the JavaScript executor. So JavaScript executor, JS is equals to JavaScript executor of get driver. Okay. So this is nothing but get driver is also kind of a driver D right? I'm going to say that there I'm defining like a D, return D. That's nothing but it's returning with the driver. So what is happening here? Get driver. Okay. So now you see just we are converting into a driver. This driver is like it is getting the D here. Okay, that's the thing. But as we written here, right? So I have written the code, it's a small piece of code. What is that code I have written here? It's the same thing I'm doing it here. Okay. So it's like instead of D, I'm just using that method. I'm calling this driver. Now I got this JS scripts. JS dot execute script. Okay, you can use the key and the object that you want to go. Okay, if you want to just identify the key, that's nothing. But if you want to get some element, okay, so we'll try to identify the elements now. Okay, so we'll go back to this and how do we identify the element with the help of a JavaScript executor. So as we discussed about like in case of if you want to find something in the window, we'll be using window. That's nothing but complete. If you want to do some actions on this, for example, scrolling this. Okay, scrolling this. Or if you want to apply some styles on this web page. So in that case, you can go and do this. But if you want to only perform like, within this web page, we have a document. Okay, this is nothing but all the document DOM objects that we have. If you want to perform any actions on the DOM objects, then we have to use the document. Arguments is like directly if you want to apply some styles and all. Okay. So now I want to identify this element. Okay. So you can see this is like last name we have, and I'll take something which we have like, IDs and all. Okay. So we have methods which will help you to identify the element with the help of like last name, name, and ID. Okay. So we'll take name also. We have name here. Okay. So document, what we need to do is like, how do we write syntax for identifying the element with JavaScript, etc. Is like for document, like if you want to identify anything in the document, like web element and all. Okay. So you can use document dot get, you can see name. Okay. Get name. We have different set of methods within this document. Okay. So now we can give the name here. You see, it's going to identify the element. Okay. Now you see, it is identifying the element. First, I'll try to identify this element here. I'll copy this and I'm going here. I'll perform some actions. Okay. So here I'm going to pass it as like a parameter. Okay. So what I want to do is like, I want to enter some text into it. Okay. So for this, we need to add a statement called return. Okay. It's going to return. First, we have identified this element, but we want to perform on some actions on this web element, right? How do we do it now? We are going to take it as like a web element. Okay. So what it is going to do is like, it's going to return me a web element. So this is nothing, but I will be converting this particular thing into a web element. Okay. So web element. So when this will be used, this JavaScript, etc., if nothing is working as part of like Selenium. Okay. Now you see, I'm going to send this value. Okay. So now you see, I've identified this element, document dot get elements, not element by name. Okay. So only it's like get element by name. So I have to use document dot get element by name. Okay, let's use this one. So it is returning anyway, it's returning only one element. Okay, so you can see how many elements we got, only one element. Okay, so it's going to return me one element here. Now I'll try to execute this code and it should enter admin there. Okay, so this will directly go and interact with the HTML web page. Okay, so let's do one thing. I'll try to, I think it is returning list of web elements. Zero, we'll try to element dot get of index 0. Okay, so that's nothing but it is returning list of web elements because here it is using get elements by class. Okay, we are able to identify it once again. What is that actually? This thing here is like should return it. I'm just checking it again. Document get by ID, by name. We are trying to get it. but it is returning it. Okay, let me take another side, guys. So I want to explain you like how do we identify the element ID at least. Okay, so let me just go here and I'll try to identify controller slash ID. This one, let's start. Great ID. We have few things within this ID. Okay, let me take Amazon. So it should definitely return that web element. Okay, so there is no point of returning it, but it is like by IDs, by names, it will return all the set of names. So here you can see navbar. For example, here you see. So we have this element. Okay, this element should be identified. I'll take this site here and I'm going to just change it. I will try to have this example, one example at least, and I'll show you rest of the things. Okay, don't worry about everything will be covered, guys. Okay, I'm not going to skip anything. This is very important for us. So that is the reason why that I just want to show you with all the examples. So here I'm going to use get element by ID itself. Okay, so I'll show you how to be identified by ID. Now I'm going to go here and I'll click on this console document tab dot get by ID. Okay, so it's returning the element, but for sure it is returning, but in the code I need to check it. Okay, so what is that ID? Navbar, right? So just go here and try to identify this and take this one navbar, go here, nav search bar. See, now it is like returning one element. So there it was returning complete node and it was returning one element. It is returning one element. Okay, I'm going to copy this and I'll show you here how do we execute it. Okay, so we are getting it as part of like our web element. I'm just making sure that it is typecasted into the web so that we can perform some actions. Okay, so it will definitely give you the web element, but after getting that we have to return that web element. Okay, in JavaScript what it is like, if we are getting this as a web element, we have to return it, so that we are returning it here so we can perform some actions on it. Okay, so I'm removing this and I'm going to paste this one here. Okay, so I'll remove those things here also. I need to remove this. Yes. Okay, so what it has to do is like it has to at least set some kitchen items. Right click, run as JavaScript executor. We'll see one example today and we'll try to cover most of them tomorrow. Okay, so it is loaded and it will identify immediately. It will enter the data for that. So this should be so it should return it. I'm just checking it. JavaScript executor. Okay, maybe like it's driver data, whatever I'm getting is like driver is the thing or not, that I need to check. Okay, so what I will do is like I'll take D here. Okay, so let me, what it is throwing error. Okay, visibility of it is like protected. Maybe that could be the reason, guys. Actually, it should work. This is also not a reason. Let me do a kind of check. Okay, guys, I'll do one thing. I'll first explain you like how do we identify these elements here. Then we can use it as part of our programming. Okay. Sorry, guys, I could not continue today for some reasons actually. So tomorrow we'll be connecting it. Okay, I'll let you know in the chat. Okay. So, but the thing is like we are able to identify the elements, right? So how do we use it as part of our program? So that I'm going to show you tomorrow. Okay.
Okay.
Please do not mind, and tomorrow please practice this, guys. Upload at least, like tomorrow we'll be looking into these things in detail. Okay, I'll explain each and everything.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah, okay, guys, thank you.
Thank you.